I think we've been expecting this for a few weeks now. I know it's early in the year, but oh dear. Our little Warre hive looks like they're about to swarm. I'm going to move out of their way a bit. I've got one that's far too interested in me. Keep an eye on it, because it looks like it's imminent. Oh, I really do hope they go to one of our other two empty hives. There's one and there's one right next door. Please, 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 just go next door. Just go next door. Hello. I'm coming to you from our backyard, and it's fairly appropriate as we are backyard beekeepers. And what you're seeing here is something that most people have never seen unless you're a beekeeper. And this is a little Warre hive. Warre hive is just a type of hive, the way the inside is configured. And that's a top bar hive with a difference, and that's a more traditional top bar hive. That one is empty, as is that one over there, empty. Now these bees, we knew they were going to swarm because there are way too many of them in this hive now, and that appears to be what they've decided to do on this rather glorious spring day. It's very early in the season for swarms in the UK, but with this nice weather we're having, they're definitely making the most of it. Right, what happens? Why? Bees create new hives when one hive gets too full. How they do that is they've got let's say there's 50,000 to 100,000 bees in a colony, and there's one queen. The queen will lay some eggs, and as long as those eggs are a few days old, we're talking 1 to 3 or 4 days old, the bees can turn those eggs into queens. So she leaves eggs in the old hive, this one, and then her bees will starve her. They won't feed her for however long until she's slim enough to be able to fly again. They will then take her out of the hive and create a big ball of bees ready to fly off to find a new home. So they don't just fly off. What they do is they find somewhere fairly close to their current hive. Could be a meter away, it could be 200-300 meters away from where they currently are. Somewhere reasonably sheltered, hopefully. But there are occasions where they land on cars, lampposts, just anywhere they want. And they will stay there, huddled up with the queen in the middle to protect her. And their scouts will go off looking for a new home. In this case, we're hoping scouts have been looking at that hive over there and will go into that hive. Please, because every time we've ever had a swarm, they've decided to go into the neighbour's garden, into a very tall tree. Never convenient, but hopefully this time it's different. And from there, the scouts will go out hunting for a new home, and they'll all come back, and by some sort of amazing process, they will tell the other bees where they've found this new home, and between them they will decide which one is the best. And then they will fly off from their temporary spot and they'll go to their new home. Now, bees that have swarmed like this, whether they're still on the hive like this or hanging off a lamppost, wherever they are very, very not timid. They're very quiet and they're very gentle. what they've done is they've feasted on honey in the hive, so that if they're away from the hive for a few days, they don't have to worry about food. And that's what they do. So it makes them very soporific, very gentle, and gives them an opportunity to find a new home without having to forage. And that's what they're doing at the moment, it looks like. And this big ball of bees will fly off and start looking for a place soon. I've been sitting here for a good half an hour and they're still just preparing, it looks like. There's a ball on the floor, which is where I imagine the queen is. And then there's the ball hanging around the entrance of this little hive as well. And that little thing that there is the air vent to the hive. That's not sure why they're hanging around on there, but they will all fly off. So half of them will move about to a new hive. And let's see how it goes. I'll come back if they start to swarm. I think they're about to swarm. I don't know if you can hear the change in pitch. There's a lot more noise. And you're seeing lots of bees starting to fly. Now I've got to watch out for where they go. If I can get the general direction, then I'll be able to see where they swarm to. We're going to be sitting in a cloud of bees in a minute. We're just circling at the moment. Thanks, bee. One's just pooped on my screen. Oh, right. I'm seeing a bit of movement going towards that neighbour's yard there. I'll have to wait and see. Yeah, definitely. So at the moment looks like that's the direction they're heading. You won't be able to see it, but I can with the naked eye. You kind of just get a gist of the flow of the bees. I hope they're not going into a tall tree in the park, because look, we've got all these tall trees here, and that would be just very sad, because then we wouldn't be able to retrieve them. It's 25 minutes later, and I'm still sitting here. And guess what? They still haven't swarmed. I have no idea what these bees are up to. Anyway, there was a huge cloud of them, and then they slowly just started to come back. Some of them weren't ready, and some clearly were false starting. The ball that was on the ground over there earlier, over there, is now gone, and they're all just clustered more to the left of the entrance than they were before. What is going on? What do they say? Never work with children and animals. Add bees into that. We'll wait and see. And while I'm sitting here, Got a lovely bumblebee doing its thing, pollinating my gooseberry. Thank you, bumblebee. No change. Still going. And here's my bumblebee doing her thing. Can you see her big pollen pants? The baskets on the back of her legs. It's where she stores the honey, not the honey, the pollen that she's collecting. And they'll take back to her hive. She really does like this bush. We're very lucky in this garden, to be fair. We've got tons of fruit trees, so they have plenty to forage on, especially in this incredible April weather here in the UK. It's very unusual. Come on, focus me in. She's so cute. Not to be mistaken for a honeybee. This is a bumblebee. She looks like she's a yellow-tailed bumblebee or an early bumblebee. We have red-tailed bumblebees. We've got all sorts of bumblebees in the garden. And this is the time of year they start coming out of hibernation, the queens, and looking for food, looking for a new nest. Because she's the only one that survives winter. Honeybees are the only colony that survive winter as an entire colony, whereas all of the bumblebee varieties and the wasps, only the queen survives and hibernates over winter, and then she comes out of hibernation and she goes to find herself a new hive or a new home, and she has to feed herself when she lays the eggs, and eventually they hatch. Then they'll start to look after her, but until then she has to do everything herself, unlike the honeybees over here, who are looked after by the worker bees that have survived winter. By then they're already quite old, and they'll have to forage very quickly to get enough food back into the hive for spring. There you go. Still no activity on the swarming front. I think we had some over-eager. Oh, here's a different one. This is is this a tree bumblebee or a... I can't remember. This is a different one to the one on the thing. And while I'm sitting here admiring her, I can hear the change in noise on the hive. We'll go back there in a second. There you go. I think this is a tree bumblebee or an early bumblebee. So cute. Likes the dandelions. This is why we don't get rid of the dandelions at this time of year. It's one of their best food sources for honeybees, bumblebees, all sorts of bees. And pollinators. Obviously that includes wasps, which are nobody's favourites. Well, most people's not their favourites. I'll be back if there's any more activity. Watching the activity going on at this hive, I'm beginning to think that this might not be a swarm, and if it was or is, I don't think they're going to go until tomorrow. It's getting really late now, and if they get too cold, that's not good. They keep their hive at a constant 37 degrees Celsius, so And that takes a huge amount of energy. And to do that overnight when they don't need to doesn't make any sense. However, looking at the comings and goings, there's a huge amount of foraging bees that are returning to the hive now after being out probably for a few hours, picking up pollen and nectar. So that's what they do. It's possible as well that because of this very mild April weather that we're having, that they're actually too hot inside the hive, and they've just simply come out to cool down a bit. I don't know. It's an interesting one. They do surprise you. And bees are, just always surprising you. They never do the same thing once or twice, rather should I say. It seems that they like to keep us on our toes. I think this is one of the reasons Mark and I love to be natural beekeepers or backyard beekeepers, that we just don't interfere with them. We could scoop them up and force them into another hive, but really we'd prefer to just let them do what they do naturally, and hope that they move into one of our hives over there. I see we've got another scout over there on this little hive. I'm going to just walk over there and see if pick up any activity at all. I've had 1 or 2 bees go into the hive today, and there's another one, and that's probably a scout, and they're the ones that are sent out first to go and see if they can find a nice spot for a house, a new house. So that's what they do. So there they are. And while I'm looking at them, I wanted to just mention this other hive over here, this one. It's what you call a hot hive, maybe medium warm, I don't know. They are a little aggressive, that's what that means. Mark's been out twice in the last month, and on one occasion, one literally, as he was walking past, just on his way to do something, one just came and a guard bee came and stung him on the neck, and I think he got stung the other day on the foot as well. So that one might need to be requeened at some point because of their genetics. If she's passing on that aggressive gene to her offspring, then it's not great, especially because it's on our pathway going to the house. So we'd rather get rid of her if we have to. That would mean we'd have to either breed a new queen or get this hive, which is very calm, get them to create another queen cup, another queen, and take one of those queens, which they start to raise, and put it into there. But you would have to catch the old queen that's in there and get rid of her. And one of the most common ways, I believe, is that they just put them in the freezer. They can't deal with the cold, and it's apparently a fairly humane way. I don't know, I'm not a bee, but that is apparently one of the ways you can get rid of the queen. So we'll see how that goes. But I think I'm going to sign off for today on this hive and just pop out every half an hour and see if there's any change in the activity and what they're doing. So I'm just going to prop myself up here so you can have a little bit of a closer look at what's going on. This hive, this warrior hive, has got a try not to get it to focus on my finger. It's got a long slot all the way along there underneath that little ledge, and that's their entrance, and it's opened all the way at the moment. It's got a little slider on it so that if the hive is very small and needs a smaller hole to protect, then you can close it. If the weather's really cold, like in winter, we close that up almost all the way and just leave like a bee space there for them. Oh, they're so cute. I don't know if you can see just over there. Look at them all lined up there in a straight little row. Amazing. They're quite remarkable little things. So that's me for today, I think. Unless they surprised me just now.